Again, thanks everybody for joining. We'll just give it a moment, let the speakers from Project 79 get requested and pulled up, and then we'll be getting started here in just a moment, everybody. Looks like we have you guys. How you guys doing?
Very
Can
well,
you hear
very
me?
well. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great, man. It's a beautiful day. You know, it's what, Friday for a lot of people.
It is. It is. It certainly is.
Oh yeah, it's always wonderful on the end of the week, and actually we get a really great project to deep dive into. So I'm excited. You know, I don't want to waste too much time. David, are you good there with your sound?
Yes, I think I'm all good, buddy. Yeah, I think we're all good to go.
All right. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Good day, everybody. Crypto miners community. Today we have an exciting presentation lined up. We're joined by David and Dylan from Project 79, a company that spearheads innovation in commodities market and rare minerals. Project 79 is set to disrupt the industry with their decentralized peer-to-peer market. Let's dive into this game-changing project. So, you know, before we get into the meat of the project or the company, I always say project, especially with your guys' name. But really, after doing my research, you guys got a full-fledged, real deal company here, top down. So I can't wait to get into it. So before we do, though, let's introduce your guys' self, maybe a little bit about the core team and how you guys came together to form the core team to make this wonderful company.
Well, yeah. So my name's David. I'm the operations manager for Project 79. Thank you for having us on the show, and hi to everyone that's tuned in. Thanks for joining us. So to give you an insight, guys, Project 79 is a peer-to-peer marketplace that it combines the traditional precious metals market with blockchain technology. Our focus as a company is on tokenization of real-world assets, something that for sure is changing the investment landscape and has a very bright future. So for those of you guys aren't so savvy on crypto, which I'm sure most of you are, tokenization is essentially means to convert a tangible asset, whether it's gold mines, mining rights, or even real estate properties, into a digital token. So the digital token is backed by a real world asset, and the value of the token is linked to the value of that underlying asset. And the token can be used to buy and sell fractional ownership, which it really allows investors to participate in opportunities that in the past were out of their financial reach, so to speak. I mean, my background personally is more private equity, corporate finance. I am fairly, excuse me, fairly new to the crypto scene or industry. I'm learning, very quickly, or as quickly as I possibly can. There's a lot to it. But I know from my private equity background, a lot of investments I dealt with in the past would have a minimum entry level of $100,000 or whatever it may be, which obviously discounted or made it not sort of viable for a lot of actual retail investors, and that's the beauty of the tokens and the fractional ownership. Now, the tokens themselves are obviously digital assets that represent ownership in that project that the token represents. The tokens are created using blockchain technology during what's called a token generation event. And the token holders get a share of the money that said project makes, whether it be from the sale of gold or other precious metals, as well as any other revenue generating activities associated with that particular project. So essentially, the performance of the project determines what yield return the token will achieve. So as far as Project 79 is concerned, we've been running for around 18 months now. We currently have 3 offerings on the Project 79 platform, each one designed to cater for individual investment requirements and objectives. Firstly, we have Sahara Star. Sahara Star is a gold exploration company. We also have the gold staking program, and thirdly, we have Burrow Core Mining. So I will give you guys an insight into Sahara Star firstly, as that's one that I've been working closely with since I joined the Project 79 team back in August, so fairly recently. Essentially, they're a gold exploration company with operations in Mauritania. For those of you who are not familiar with Mauritania, which I'm sure there are a few of you, as I wasn't too sure myself when I was first introduced to the project some months ago, it's in northwest Africa, Mauritania, bordering Morocco to the north and Mali and Senegal to the south. Now, Mauritania, it's a vast area of untapped mineral-rich land in the Sahara Desert. Okay, mining operations only really commenced there as recently as 30 years ago, which is relatively new in comparison to other traditional African mining countries. So there's many areas that are yet to be explored. The company is headed up by Gavin McDonald, CEO. He's got vast experience with mining companies. He also comes from a private equity background like myself. The company is owned by a gentleman called Anand Daswani. Now, Anand is from the Canary Islands, Spain. Now, for those of you that are not good on geography, the Canary Islands, Spain are basically adjacent to the Mauritanian coast of the in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Mauritania. So generations of Anand's family have been involved with import export between the countries, and that's how the connection with Mauritania came about. He's very well connected on the ground with senior government mining officials, tier one geologists, and various other people that are crucial for getting things done. They've got very strong relationships there in Mauritania. So essentially, Sahara Star, what they're doing, they're building a portfolio of mining assets. They've got a target valuation of assets of 500 million. Now, when I say assets, I'm referring to mining licenses and permits. Once they've secured assets to the tune of 500 million, they will flip these to Chinese state mining companies who will essentially come in, do all the heavy work, bring in the heavy machinery, and extract the minerals contained in the sites that they've secured. So far, 3 licenses have already been secured by Sahara Star. 2 of the licenses are 1,000 square kilometers each, and a third, which is a joint venture with the Mauritanian government. That's relatively small. It's 2 kilometers square in size, but it's in a real mineral hotspot. Now, a geology team will be on the ground there on that particular site as soon as Monday. They'll be conducting a 21-day mission, compiling mining studies, feasibility studies, and taking samples that will be tested by MSA Labs. That's headed up by a lovely Australian chap, George, who I actually met when I was over there with the guys or with the team back in August. The site itself is next to the biggest mining site in Mauritania, and that's held by a company called Kinross Mining. The Tasiast mine is the actual name of it, and they paid $8 billion for that particular site. So, as I mentioned, guys, I was there with the Sahara Star team on the ground back in August. Myself and my good colleague that's joined me on this call, Dylan, we were actually going back there in 2 weeks to meet up with the geologists on site. We're going to document the studies, gather content, and report back to the community. I had a good time when I was out there in August, 2 months ago. The Sahara Star team, they're a great bunch of guys. We got on very well. I was particularly impressed with how they conducted negotiations and the numerous meetings that I was sat in on with them. Very likable and respected on the ground, which in countries such as Mauritania is hugely important. Having the locals on side is imperative. Otherwise, things can get delayed and move at a real slow pace. I mean, in terms of investment-wise, obviously that's the burning question here, which everyone wants to know. There was initially a total supply of 25 million Sahara Star tokens, and that represented 50% of the economic rights to the project. However, Gavin, the CEO, Gavin McDonald, he has gathered together or raised $30 million through his private equity connections, because he's also from a private equity background. So 5 million tokens were released for the seed round. Around the seed round, which equates to 10% of the economic rights to raise funds for feasibility studies and to ultimately determine how much gold is contained in the ground. So the token price was initially 60 cents. It has been recently increased to $1, which essentially reflects the progress that's been made in the last few months. To date, they have raised $1.7 million on the Project 79 platform. The team have many other licenses in the pipeline, and once they are added to the portfolio, that will then increase the token value at the same time. In terms of projected returns for the token holders, so the ultimate goal here is for them to secure licenses. How many licenses that will be, I'm not sure. It could be 10, it could be 12, it could be more, to achieve a valuation of 500 million. Now, if they achieve that figure, 10% of that 50 million obviously will be distributed amongst the investors that have collectively invested somewhere between sort of $3 to $4 million. So that equates to a very, very good return. I mean, let's work on worst case sort of conservative sort of basis, which I always like to do. Always better to under promise and over deliver. Let's say they only achieve half of that over the next 12 months, which is the time frame the guys are looking to achieve this this 500 million milestone. It still equates to a return of sort of 7 to 8x. So that's the situation with Sahara Star. They're very transparent. Once you guys connect up with the Project 79 YouTube channel, the Discord, you'll see there's regular AMAs with the Sahara Star team. They're fully transparent, probably more so than most other companies. They keep everyone very much up to date as to what's happening on the grounds. And as I mentioned, myself and Dylan will be out there shortly in a matter of weeks to report back on what's actually happening. So that's Sahara Star.
That's pretty cool. I want to kind of inject real quick because
yeah, sure.
that was some exciting stuff. Like, you don't hear this type of really thought put stuff into real world assets, put into the blockchain, and done appropriately. So if anybody here is interested more and they're trying to follow along and they just kind of need a little bit extra to follow along, I do suggest joining their socials, and in their Discord when you join it is all the information on the breakdown of each one of these different things that they have on their marketplace, from the staking program that you were talking about for a second there, and then the Sahara. If you guys want more information or you just want to deep dive into it, the white papers are flush with information. You can really kind of get your teeth into the meat and see what they're talking about, and actually see how it's structured, not as simple as some of these other projects are. It actually has thoughtful long-term aspects here. And gold as a commodity is an ever-growing asset. I mean, everybody here knows that gold is always just going up, and when it plateaus, that just means that it's kind of like the floor for it, and it's only going to go up even more. And I know per se, I haven't dabbled too much in the commodities, but I do watch it because it correlates really well with the stock markets. And right now is, in my eyes, is a prime time to get into commodities. Commodities overall is at its floor. And ready for its next growth. If you watch, over the last probably 50-year trend lines that they've been dealing with, commodities is actually a great positioning, especially right now in the bear market, to get in, get a good footing, and everybody loves gold. So it's a really cool opportunity. So if anybody does want to dig deeper into the information, please join their Discord, and the links to their white papers and all the information is right there. I just wanted to make sure I interjected there because I know it was a little tough for me to find it at first, but when I do my research into a project, I go to everything, and I'm thorough as like I like to read it all, because I mean you're coming to bring this beautiful project to me, and the tech out in this world is so much different. I'm learning stuff every day, and even this, I know a lot about gold investment. I've done it for many years, but the way you're doing it is really unique, because tokenization is the next wave in my eyes of huge world war assets being able to be realized on the blockchain. So yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead
so
and continue.
the second offering is Burrow Core Mining. My good colleague Dylan, he's our liaisons manager. He's a little bit closer to Burrow Core than myself. So Dylan will give you a good insight into the ins and outs of Burrow Core.
Yeah, thanks, David, and thanks for having us on the show. So just to rewind quickly, I know you asked how the team came about. So Project 79 is actually a launchpad project of Hydra Whale's Mining Club, which is a 10K NFT collection. It's backed by Bitcoin miners. It's done really well, great community. I don't think it's dipped below mint price. And the same team wanted to essentially be a part of the tokenization process. And Hydra Whales gave us a real insight as to what was possible via community building and token sales, and then subsequently building real world business or assets off the back of that. And so Project 79 was launched. The name Project 79 actually came from a community member. 79, gold is the 79th element on the periodic table. And so Project 79 seemed a fitting name. And so essentially we're a marketplace, and the team is the same team that was behind Hydra Whale's Mining Club, the same founding team. They also have another launchpad project called Ocean Money, which is a regulated all-in-one crypto app, which is pretty cool. You could check that out. But essentially, they're the founding team. David and I are underneath. I'm the liaison manager. David's the contracts or operations manager. I used to work with Sam, which is one of the founders, and David, I believe, used to work with Adam Dignan. And so we now work together as a result. Essentially, we've come together via networks and so forth. Now, the operators themselves also would have their own team. So, for example, Belcore is a team of 20. Sahara Star, they have a team as well. So each token listing, Project 79 is the marketplace. All right, we would facilitate the trading. We would initially do the marketing and so forth. But ultimately, we are not the issuers. The token issuers are whole operators by themselves. So David just gave you guys an insight into Sahara Star, which is more of an exploration project, finding licenses in Mauritania with the idea to sell them at a higher price to a Chinese state mining company. Belcore, which is based in Uganda, in Busia, our community members actually went down there. They're headed up by Phil. Team of 20, I think now. Lee is also their head engineer. Our community members went out there to visit the mine in Busia recently. You can see some pictures on our Twitter feed. Essentially, it's a mining operation. So they have 7 tons of recoverable gold within their mine. And they have tokenized a percentage of said gold or the rights to the unmined gold so that they could begin operations and could begin mining. So they've, for example, recently acquired a wash plant, which has arrived on site, and they're just setting it up, preparing it to be run 24/7. And so the idea is that they will mine the gold, and as they mine the gold, you will see a monthly return. They pay out monthly, but you will see a return based on how much gold that they mine every month. You would get an allocation, token holders, 40%. And so that is reserved for token holders, naturally after CapEx or costs and so forth. So at the moment, it's been returning already, even though it hasn't been fully up and running. There's been a really rainy season in Uganda, but they've still been paying out 1 to 2%. Now that the wash plant has arrived, they're expecting that to increase. And then as more CapEx, more capital equipment starts coming on site, then returns would increase. But the main thing to remember with Belcore is that the token represents the rights to unmined gold. So either way, the gold exists. The geology reports have confirmed this. These are confirmed deposits, and the 7 tons is recoverable. So when you buy a token, you buy an allocation towards that unmined gold. So the variable is how fast Belcore is able to pull that out. They are expecting a 5 to 6 year time frame. So it might have increased slightly due to the slow start or waiting for the wash plant to arrive. But that could be beneficial, because in 5 or 6 years, gold price might have gone up. It might have increased substantially. In fact, if the crypto, if the crypto true believers or the Bitcoin maxis have their way, the only way Bitcoin reaches 1 million, I reckon gold will be quite close behind it if fiat goes down. obviously we don't wish that on any system, but nonetheless, gold is an asset that's desired. So with Belco, they're an active mining operation. They mine the gold and they sell it on, and the token holders have a share of the unmined gold. So when it's sold, you get a percentage paid in monthly returns. So that's Belco. It's our second offering. It's key to remember though that because we as Project 79 are the marketplace. Belco, Sahara Star, these are operators of their own. They have great teams that specialize in gold, in the gold industry. So we have AMAs with them. You can have a listen to those and kind of get an insight as to the knowledge that these guys bring. Whereas Project 79, we hope to bring crypto knowledge and culture to these guys, and then at the same time, we bring these opportunities to investors. So yeah, that's Belco.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. It's a good insight into a mining operation and being able to bring it on the blockchain. I think is an extremely unique idea that no one else is really doing. I love the website too. I will say that you guys websites eye colors and user friendly. It's really neat, real simple, but it takes you right to investing, breaks it all down, gives you all information. So you guys did really well there. And so as for being a peer-to-peer marketplace, do you plan on having other minerals and other type of rare commodities offered on there?
No, it's unlikely that we want to become the number one marketplace for tokenized gold opportunities. So there's a distinction between gold as a commodity. I think on the last space there was a little bit of confusion, but gold as a commodity, and then the gold businesses that's required to actually extract the gold first of all, then turn it into whatever is required, like a gold ring or whatever the case may be. There's a whole supply chain. You have the miners, the warehouses, the jewelers, the refineries, and so there's many opportunities along the supply chain to bring those businesses on the blockchain as well as the commodity itself, as gold itself. But the distinction is that we are aiming to help these businesses tokenize whether that be their economic rights in the future. As regulation becomes more clear, we might, via our partner Ocean Money, start looking at equity itself. It's worth noting, though, that Project 79 has a DAO charter. So, ultimately, once the governance tokens have been distributed, proposals can be made, and then token holders can vote on said proposal. So, albeit that we as the initial team may not see place, we think it might be worthwhile focusing on the gold niche and just becoming a titan of a marketplace, so that if someone wants to invest in tokenized gold opportunities, they come to Project 79. That could be a good value add. But because we're a DAO, that could change if the majority of the community feel that actually it might be worthwhile listing other commodities. So it could change over time, but initially, I think the goal is to focus on gold.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. Gold has that standard that it always has so much value and it's always needed, and it's pretty, right? You get that one. I know when I went with my father as a child and went prospecting, and I found my first piece of gold, it was like I had gold fever, and I wanted to find more. I'd stay out there all night trying to pan some more. So no, gold is definitely a fascinating, a real world asset that it pretty much doesn't die and will always be growing. So it is good to focus too. A lot of these other projects or companies, they spread their, themselves so thin, they don't actually focus on anything and don't get to actually have anything built or grow. So, and I do love the aspect about it being a DAO. So touching on that, are you going to have it structured? My only questions like this is because I've seen some really good DAOs set up, and then it only takes a few wells to ruin an entire project, or to be the one that mainly benefits because they have the majority ruling and betting. Did you guys have any type of systems implemented in order to kind of give less power to the ones that's holding the majority, or is it how do you guys weight your guys' DAO system for voting?
So right now it might be I can speak like just generally, but I would be speaking on just from my perspective. I'll be involved certainly in the meetings, but we haven't yet designed the full tokenomics of the DAO and the subsequent voting mechanisms.
Okay, I didn't know if I went too far ahead. So yeah, you definitely don't have to give an answer
No,
that you
I think
feel is
it's
not going to be
well, it's a
100%.
good question because I think it's something that DAOs as an industry have to think about, right? Like um, that's a feature of DAOs. So, for example, I've seen some. You could have team vetoes, um, but in terms of working around whales getting hold of all the governance tokens, yeah, we haven't designed it yet. However, we're in the process, or we have designed Hydra whales. So the team has experience, and our strategy is more to bring in experts. So, for example, with each of the issuers, like for example, Belcore, Sahara Star, they're experts in their industry. Like Phil from Belcore, he's been in Uganda for 15 to 20 years, in the country dealing with the commodity. And Gavin from Sahara Star, and Sahara Star is more of like a finance operation. He's listed before, and Andy that David spoke about, who's based in Canary Islands, he's been trading with the Mauritanians for a long time. So these guys are experts within their own right. So our plan as a team usually is just to bring in experts, and so it's something that we're actively navigating. We got our DAO charter about a month ago, so from the Marshall Islands. So we are actively navigating this exact topic. So as it comes out, we could perhaps do a follow-up space. It might be interesting for people that do want to get involved in DAOs and so forth.
Yeah, no, 100%. It seems like DAOs are extremely needed in the decentralized world, obviously, but manipulation and really doing good to hammer out any of those security issues or problems that could occur with manipulation is always key. Because I know I've been a part of a few that did really well, but in the end didn't do as well as it could have because they were some small oversight. So definitely love that you guys are taking your time, not trying to rush in. Obviously it shows you guys have been up for 18 months, running and pushing and growing your entire ecosystem. It's impressive. Like I don't want to just sound like I'm a little too big about it, or trying to fill the head up about it, or trying to like one up it onto the community, but I actually am very much impressed by the way you guys have thoroughly thought about the tokenization marketplace, because a lot of people are trying to build their own token and build their own real estate or buy the asset themselves. And in that kind of world, like when you try to think about it, you have to build a massive multi-funded $1 million multi-funded business to do something like that. But you guys kind of stepped back and decided, I'm going to make the marketplace and allow for other companies that already have that, to be able to launch on the blockchain, which is cool. I love it. Given a whole different aspect to the blockchain and a way to invest and to, I would say, grow your portfolio overall. With that being said, we've pretty much covered a lot of the overall understanding of the project, diving into how to invest and really how you're going to earn. And really what's good about it is the performance of these projects and companies already been showing that it's been, it's basically already have its cadence built for it. So you coming to us, it's not like it's brand new showing, oh, this is all just starting. People could do their research and see that this is something that's been going on for a while, and it looks like it's a proven method and it's going to continually grow. So with that, do you guys have any future alpha or development or anything you guys might want to talk on that you guys are planning on releasing soon? Just kind of some things that might be a little different than what you guys have set up, and that will get some more investors really kind of just want to get behind it and learn. Because like, to tell you the truth, you can look at the website and you can look at the Twitter and the communities overall and talk, but until they get into those white papers, you guys spent some good time building really good white papers. It's not some just quick 10-15 minute read. It actually gives you the understanding on what you're investing and why you're investing. So but yeah, other than that, do you have any future development or future plans of features you might want to talk about or touch on right here?
Yeah, good question. I think what would be perhaps a catalyst, and it's also something that a lot of our existing community have been waiting for, is us opening up the secondary market for these tokens. Because the thing with tokenization, and when you tokenize real world assets, usually it's not infinite supply, right? You're going to have, these are fixed supply assets. And so the primary token cell will complete. And then the only way to get access to said tokens would be through a secondary market. And so we wanted to supply that, and we did. We worked with an Ethereum foundation for a standard that is made specifically for tokenization. We have inbuilt compliance mechanisms for regulatory purposes, for safeguarding the DAO for the future. We do want to try and naturally keep it as decentralized as possible, but just the way that the industry is moving, we thought it would be beneficial to have the foresight to put these mechanisms in place. And so there's a KYC AML process, and people can sign up and essentially have the facility to sell their tokens, which we are looking to launch within, while the tech is built and people they've got their accounts, they've received their tokens, Polygon tokens. So that's been exciting to roll out, because that took a long time for us to build, and we've been rolling it out over the last month. And so over the next month or two, we'd be looking to open up that fully, which means that trading would be available. And essentially, what I've seen from other projects, for example, Hydrowells, once we sold out and the floor price started going up, that in itself brings, some attention to the projects. And I think due to the nature of the projects, these gold projects like Sahara Star, they are able to put their price up from 65 cents to $1, not because maybe the community got valuable or the IP got valuable, rather because they acquired something in the real world, like another license. So the valuation of the operation tangibly went up, warranting a higher token price. Same with Belcore. If you have an active mine and then you find deposits that weren't initially accounted for, all of a sudden now you can have more. So essentially, what happens is, as these projects progress over time, what you might find is that once the primary sales are finished, and which we are close to, all of the projects are over 50% complete. The Belcore 75% complete, and that's like it's 100,000 token raised. And so once those are complete, and news is still coming out, production is still going, people want to get access to this, and then they have to buy it from existing token holders. And if existing token holders are there for the long term anyway, they were there for the returns initially, then you might see an increase in the token prices. And so I think the secondary market opening up is a big thing, and naturally the DAO token coming out would be pretty cool. I think that might be longer as we figure that part out. I think the key for our marketplace really is just us finding good operators to partner with, because once an opportunity is made available and the operators understand the power of the blockchain, the community building, like Dave, for example, Gavin, like he comes on our AMAs now, and he's truly sold about the future of tokenization, right? Like in the beginning, it was about, hey, we are doing Project 79. Here's an idea. And now he, as an operator that's from that industry, is like, oh, wow, tokenization is the next big thing. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Gavin, as I mentioned, Gavin's from a similar finance background to myself. So myself and Gavin are quite new to all this, if I'm honest. But we're both hugely impressed with how the tokenization of assets is working, how it's progressing forward, and we're both convinced that it's certainly changing the investment landscape, and it's going to take hold more and more moving forward, because there's so many benefits to it. So yeah, Gavin's very much on side with tokenization of assets along with ourselves.
Yeah, no, like I'm saying, I'm definitely impressed with the approach because, like you're saying, you're bringing people to the blockchain that never even saw this as an outlet. And this is a huge new investment avenue for projects that, they bark up the same 20 trees, 50 trees, the same, 100 billionaires for money. Eventually it gets a little old, but this is another outlet that allows projects that don't have that same type of reach or has exhausted all of their reaches, have a new outlet to continue, growing, building, whatever they're doing at that time. Like if they're just researching the lands to license out those spots, this allows them to have higher reach, do those extra trips to get out there and deeper there, or like the Uganda project, get the equipment they need on time into the places so they can earn. And like you're saying about, if they find that extra deposit, that's the beauty about gold is, just by your samples, you're going to have a good average, but you might find that good hotspot, that good seam. And, that month or that year might be a good bonus for your investment, for on the long term. The earlier you get it, obviously, the bigger the investment in the end is. So, yeah, I definitely like that. And it's pretty cool seeing someone that of like you're saying, of Gavin's statue coming into the Twitter space, enjoying the blockchain, really accepting the blockchain and the community for what it is and the potential that it has to grow, because digital assets aren't going anywhere and it's only growing more. Being at the forefront it's pretty awesome. I would say it's pretty impressive too, kind of the relationship you've been able to foster from the big wigs, I would say, of the world and investments, and bringing them to the blockchain. It's pretty cool. I like that avenue and the little kind of like acceptance into the community, because we're at heart, a lot of us communities, we're just degens with a few $1,000s in our pockets, but being able to have an opportunity that pretty much negates you unless you're a millionaire, it's a cool opportunity.
Yeah, I think investors should have a strategy, and oftentimes diversification is part of that strategy. And so, Project 79 would offer you a good outlet if you wanted something, you know, um, backed, or you want to get involved in real business, but still utilize crypto or utilize your MetaMask and so forth. Um, versus having to go buy shares. And by the time you reach, shares, if you think about it, by the time it's listed, perhaps a lot of the returns have been eaten by the early investors already, right? By the time it reaches that stage. But if you, get in at ground level, plus there's the accessibility of it all, you can capture those gains right from the beginning, so it provides a really good option for you guys. You're not going to get 1,000x returns here, but what you are going to get is something solid. Good teams. You can go out and visit these places. Shake everyone's hands, and be involved in an industry that's been alive for thousands of years, and watch it modernize and come onto the blockchain. So it's very interesting, and it should certainly be at least considered as part of your portfolio.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I have a lot of kind of blue chips and long-term holds, but in the end, they're only affected on the blockchain. Now, if you're looking like I do for another long-term hold, I'm always looking for a nice long-term hold. This is actually like a double benefit, because you're not only getting the benefits of the return on real-world assets, but you're also holding on to the project as it continues scales and gets prepared for the next uptick in investments. And I always talk about the bull run. Only the reason why is because of the data showing the cycle that's happened. So it's not 100% predictable, but like I always like to follow history, right? History repeats itself, and in turn, it continually has. And with the bull run coming, this has also set the stage for institutional investments like BlackRock and Vanguard and all these really big boys out there that have huge asset managements under their tie to jump into the blockchain. So if you're holding these tokens and you've been earning gold this entire time, what do you think is going to happen to your investment when you're holding it in a year from now and the bull run happens and they've only been scaling and growing from there, right? So, and if you're that kind of investor, you want to take the long-term risk. In my eyes, this is a hold that has the double benefit, right? So And you always got to look at your money or your assets. Are they working for you, and how are they working for you? And if you can only just say, oh, when the next bull run, because I'm holding it and it's a blue chip and it's going to make me a lot of money, that's only one-sided. But if you look at this, you're getting earnings every month. Obviously, if it gets better and bigger on a deposit, you're going to get more that month. So like either way, you're going to be constantly compounding and earning your initial investment. But then the bull run happens, and that's when people are going to come in, and tokenization will be huge right then. And I could see you guys setting yourself up for some game-changing growth coming here soon. So, not to go too far into, pretty much us just chilling and talking about all the markets. So let's get some questions in some from the community. I got like about 15 hands up right now. Let's get some questions in if you guys don't mind. If you guys have some time, you want to dig into some of the community questions.
Yeah, sure thing.
So I'll grab a couple up from here, and then I'll probably pick one or two from the comments, because I'm sure we have a bunch of comments too. Here, I'll just randomly pick one. Let's see, Logan, I just approved you. Just hope the X is being, playful today. There you go, Logan. Looks like you're up. Speak whenever you're ready. Your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity. So my question is this, many projects look great like on their white paper on their roadmap, but they tend to come across difficulty when implementing their project missions. So I just want to know, what are some of the obstacles you have come across, like you have encountered during the development of your project, and how were they addressed?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so every project, we encounter obstacles. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. A couple of months ago, we released our tech stack for the marketplace, and what happened was the KYC feature didn't work properly at all, and it was a little bit of a disaster. In the sense that we were having a lot of tickets, our moderators were answering questions all the time, a lot of bugs. And what we decided to do was, let everyone know, we held sessions and we told them that, look, rather than having this issue continuously, what might be better is for us to build a whole new tech stack, which we did. And we've now released it. And that KYC process is a lot more easier. We've onboarded a lot more accounts than we did the first time, and the process was a lot smoother. The operators themselves might have some, issues or some hurdles. Just these are businesses. There's no business that I've come across that hasn't had hurdles of some sort. For example, on Bilco's side, they had a delay at the border for their wash plant, and so they were importing the wash plant and they wanted to get it to Busia. And when they were getting it through the borders, there was a lot of delays. And in turn, because the wash plant is a piece of capex or a piece of machinery that will really help ramp up the rewards, this caused a lot of knock-on effects, like community members, they were waiting on the wash plant. We couldn't give exact dates of when it would arrive because we ourselves didn't know when the borders would release them and so forth. And so, there was a lot of managing of that. That process there. The community pulled together in the end, and a lot of people were excited. But that was a challenge. But in the end, we persevered through, or rather, Bilco persevered through, and the wash plant is now arrived, and it's there, it's built, and we send pictures, and it's on site. So, there might be delays, there might be some hurdles that the team certainly do come across throughout, building these projects, not only from, an infrastructure and community building side from Project 79, but the operators themselves. And it's just about having good teams, which, the Hydra Whale founding teams, spectacular crypto team, and then finding good operators like Phil from Belcore, Gavin from Sahara Star, these guys have perseverance. They've pulled through. So it's just about ultimately you want good people that are going to be able to get through it, and our teams have proven throughout that they can. So it's likely that we will come across more hurdles, throughout this process, and we have confidence in the teams and the operators that we partner with that they'll navigate it through pretty successfully. Even keeping in mind that all of this was built during a bear market, and the teams have done really well in comparison to a lot. The market as a whole is quite tough. So given that, the fact that the teams were able to build and still complete token sales and so forth is really great to see.
All right. That was a great answer. I do have another question. Can I please ask? I'll keep it short.
Yeah, go ahead. Just keep it real short. I got a bunch of hands up.
All right. So I just want to know, in view of the rapid advancement technology, how do you seek to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to the changing landscape of the crypto market? And also, what steps have you put in place to ensure you're competitive, relevant, and also remain successful over the long term?
Okay, so the first question I think was around the tech, right? Like how we would stay ahead. Could you repeat that? Could you repeat the first question?
Okay. Yeah, I say in the view of this rapid advancement technology, how do you seek to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to the changing landscape of the crypto market?
I see. Okay. So yeah, we have a lot of, first of all, we have a great ecosystem and team. So the team's actively building. We also have Ocean Money, which is another launchpad project of hydro whales. And so the team is quite sizable. We get access to a lot of information via not only the teams, but also the communities that we can act on. Suggestions come from within as well. Like the size of the communities, and they're very engaged, and they bring suggestions and so forth. But secondly, our main strategy is to partner with experts. Like the whole point of partnering with Phil, for example, he has 15 years of experience within the Uganda gold industry itself, right? So in terms of navigating the crypto community, the crypto space, sorry, for example, this new platform that we released, because we had some hurdles to overcome with the first one, we started working with an Ethereum foundation. They have their own standard, and it's specifically made for tokenizing security mechanisms. So essentially what we're doing is we positioning ourselves with foresight for the future. And as time goes on, we expand the team, like David and myself are new hires that do AMAs and so forth. And as we grow, we bring in new expertise, new partners, and this helps us. All of our AMA partners, all of our infrastructure partners, and then our community, it provides a really good ecosystem for us to, just stay on the pace or keep our finger on the pulse, which I think has shown, throughout the bear market.
Thank you. I got answer to all my questions. I do wish you success on this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the questions.
All right. Thank you for the questions. Yes, those were awesome. Sorry, I mean to cut you off there, Project Dylan. But no, that was awesome questions. Thank you, Logan. I just pulled up my next one. It's Tweetboat. You go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question whenever you're ready. Come on, X. Do me right. I'll go ahead and approve them one more time. It always seems like an issue towards the end of the day or the end of the AMA.
Hello, can you hear me?
There we go. I got Fabio up. How you doing? Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I want to ask how does your project handle potential liquidity issues and maintain a reliable redemption mechanism for users looking to convert token back into the physical gold?
Okay. Just to good question. So just to make the distinction, we're not tokenizing the commodity itself, or rather, not yet. There may be a listing in the future. It's certainly been spoken about where we would have gold-backed token, where it's backed by the commodity itself and have a redemption feature itself. However, that's not one of our listings right now at the moment. Right now, what we're tokenizing itself is the economic rights to the businesses within the gold supply chain. So these could be mining corporations, could be exploration companies. It could also be jewelers, refineries, warehouses. There's any kind of business within the gold supply chain versus the commodity itself. So your tokens would rather represent, or in theory, your interest would lie with the business. Naturally, the price of gold and so forth would affect it. However, what we're focusing on is the businesses itself. Whereas tokenizing the commodity, you might just have one product or one token that would scale. As people mint the token and you have the supply, right? We're not doing that yet. We're tokenizing the businesses themselves. So essentially, to answer in our aspect, it's a peer-to-peer marketplace. So the goal is for us to do continued marketing, really create attention around and education rather around tokenization and why gold tokenization is beneficial. Because ultimately, as a peer-to-peer trading system, that's what's going to be required to make the market. Eventually the DAO or the team may execute. There is the facility to, for example, connect to DEXs or rather SEXs, and then from there liquidity pools could be formed. But it's something we're still exploring. So right now it would be peer to peer, and liquidity we from the community. We did have OTC trades up and running. So while we were waiting for the first marketplace, when we released that and realized we would have to release another one, in the meantime, we opened the OTC trades, and there was certainly a market there in the sense that there were buyers as well as there were sellers. So we would just need to continue growing the community, and then we can look at other solutions where we can, for example, integrate to SEXs or DEXs and utilize liquidity pools there. But we're down to further discussion with the DAOs and the teams and so forth.
Yeah, thank you for the informative answer.
No worries. Thank you for the question.
Yes, good question. Sorry, I'm having issues with X today. It might need an update. So I just muted North. If you want to go ahead and unmute with your question. That was a really good question, Fabio. I really appreciate it. And we'll just get one more live question in, and then I'll pick a couple a couple from the comments. Come on, North. I approved you. If not, I'm gonna pick someone else. Let's try that. Let's try Crypto Savior 95. Go ahead to question whenever you're ready.
Yeah, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing me up to ask my question. Actually, I went through your website and found that it's written in English. So, as a strategy for gaining mass adoption and better understanding of your project, do you intend writing it in Japanese, Italist, Spanish, and other languages?
I mean, yeah, certainly. I think if there's a if yeah, yes, yes. As time goes on, I don't see why not. We do want to be the leading marketplace within the gold industry for tokenized assets. That is, and so as a result, I don't see a future where we wouldn't have translation. So that's a good suggestion. Perhaps I can bring it to the team for us to start working on. I think the demand has mainly been in English. We haven't had many requests. But as we scale marketing, especially coming up for the anticipated bull run, then yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I love the question. Short and simple and straight to the point, right? All right, let's get to some of the comments we have in your questions. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll through a bunch. Oh, here's a good one. It's kind of big, but it's a good one. Mining is frequently to expensive maintenance costs, volatile commodity prices, and issues with environment, health, and carbon footprint. Are you financially or otherwise ready to accomplish all the objectives established in itself as a leading, I would say, gold marketplace? I had to change the question right there. Gold, I wouldn't say marketplace, gold peer-to-peer investment marketplace. Let's see, I have to open it up. With all the while, do you think it's going to be leading to any legal issues or any health requirements or anything that it's going to yeah, have you got, yeah, it's kind of a weird question. It's kind of more like, have you guys done the oversight to make sure that for regulatory issues or health issues, have you guys done the time and research to make sure you guys are on top of that? But we actually covered that already when you said that Gavin is already in touch with the local government and the mining regulation. So I kind of answered that question on its own. It just at the beginning it sounded like a great question, so that's a really good question. But yeah, it was already answered. Let's see if I can get another one on here.
Yeah, while you're looking, yeah, the operators would be knowledgeable. You can listen to AMAs. We run AMA sessions with each operator. So Gavin from Sahara Star, Phil from Belcore. These guys go. Phil, for example, lives in Uganda, and Gavin and Andy, they are offered down in Mauritania, always traveling there. So they're well tuned as to what's needed, what needs to be done, and they have already completed a lot of these things. So, for example, Belco has already acquired the mine, got the license. You wouldn't be able to even get to that step without communicating with the local authorities as well as the local community. Because in Africa, they operate more on an elder system. You have to speak to the elders of the community in order to get permission to mine and to operate in that area. And so these guys have relationships with not only the local communities, but also the authorities, and they would adhere to all regulations, and well, at least that is their duty, so that the mining operation can continue running, right? Because you're right, mining would follow its own set of regulations, and crypto would. So Project 79 is more about putting mechanisms in place and educating operators and getting them through the crypto space. The operators themselves are well versed and well experienced within navigating the mining industry and the subsequent regulations and so forth. So, for example, Belco is planning on opening a charity fund for the local community. They already do a lot of work with the local community there, and they work side by side with them. And naturally, it also has a benefit. You bring investment into these countries. It's tough to get investment in a lot of these countries. I'm from Zim, and it can be tough to raise outside capital because of bureaucracy and a lot of many other reasons. But Zimbabwe is a different story to Uganda, for example. But to answer the question, these guys, they have the expertise to navigate, and they wouldn't be able to acquire the licenses or continue the operation without some plan, or without at least being able to do it in a good way. So, for example, Belco doesn't use mercury at all. They have a no mercury policy, right? So among other steps that they would use.
Cheers. That is awesome. I'm actually glad to hear it because mercury is definitely the silent killer. It's the Mad Hatter disease. So I'm definitely glad that that at least certain humanitarian standards are met on on those levels, because it is a shame the world's beauty having to take health risk in order to achieve extracting it efficiently. So definitely I like that. At least that answer is really good. And I actually did have a good question. It was actually North's question that I tried to pull up earlier to ask, and it was, would you guys have your real-world asset information available to investors, like online on a dashboard, kind of just giving like a performance data on it or analytics on it that's been kept up on a month-to-month basis from performance on these projects?
Yes, absolutely. I think so. At the moment, we have two interfaces that people could use. We've recently released this marketplace. When you log in, essentially, you create a profile, and then once you get access to the marketplace, each listing would have a profile. Once you once you click on the profile, sorry, you'd be able to see all of the relevant information. And as time goes on, we would build out more features. So currently there's no earning graph like what's being described there. However, we have place within the dashboard to build that feature pretty easily. So yeah, and this goes back to, I can't remember who asked the question about how we stay on top of things, but kind of like this, people give us suggestions and we think, okay, that's a great idea. And, we go away and we implement what's possible if it's possible in the right time frame. So yeah, to answer your question, the idea is that everyone within the next few months will be able to log into this marketplace. They'll be able to trade, get their rewards, view history, mint. And so we're in kind of a transitionary period right now, although all the platforms are active. So you can go and log in, create a profile. And we're just in this mid period as we're doing this AMA of activating those services. So we have an old dashboard that we used to use that people can kind of log in and see their transactions and get involved in the projects and so forth, an overview site. And we will migrate it all over to the marketplace. And so within the next few months, we should see pretty cool features like analytics and things like that as we deploy, our core features first.
Awesome. Thank you for the answer, man. That was an awesome answer. And thank you, North, for the question. We're getting at the top of the hour, actually a few minutes after. So before I close it out or give a last minute statement here, would you like to have a call to action or anything you would like to kind of tell the community before we close it out?
I would just like to thank you all for joining. It's been really good speaking to you guys. We look forward to speaking to you again in the near future, perhaps when me and Dylan are back from our trip in Mauritania. Please, jump onto the Project 79 Discord group. It's a very friendly group. There's moderators on there. There's lots of things happening. And just generally familiarize yourself with Project 79 in general. And we look forward to speaking to you guys again soon.
Awesome. You hear that right now, guys. There are a Discord style community. They're open, they're transparent. So if you want to ask your questions, you didn't have it answered here, or if just during the talk you had more questions, or and you want to dig deep into it, and while you're doing it, you want to have questions, jump in that Discord, read the white papers, learn about the project. I think it's huge. So thank you all for joining us today, and special thanks to David and Dylan for from Project 79 for sharing this incredible venture with us. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Dive deep into the socials, immerse yourself in the wealth information in the white papers. For those that are looking for a long-term journey in commodities or gold opportunity, I say commodities because I always package it into that. So, but yeah, no, if you're looking for a good outlet to get your hands on some tangible assets like gold, this might be a great place for you to go. And so I always say, do your research. This is a golden opportunity. hence the word golden. Wishing you all the best. Happy trading, happy prosper investing, and it's been an enlightened session. We look forward to seeing you here again. Don't be a stranger. Update us. Let us know what's going on. You guys are gonna be growing and exploding, I believe, in the gold industry over the next, probably 6 months to a year, because gold is a beautiful asset that it's going to appreciate over time. And as the bull run, like I was saying, as the bull run comes in, you having the tokens, having the governance token, being a part of this entire ecosystem overall is going to set you up into a good spot, later on. So I do appreciate it. And once again, thank you for coming and showing us your project, or your company per se, and the companies that you guys are helping bring to the blockchain. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys.